Have you ever sat down to dinner, looked at a fresh green salad on your plate, and felt a quiet sense of relief thinking, at least this is healthy, at least this is safe for my body? What if I told you that for many adults over 60, that single plate of lettuce eaten the wrong way can quietly push the kidneys closer to failure, without pain, without warning, and without any obvious symptoms? My name is Dr. Mark Ellis, and after more than 2 decades working with older patients, I can tell you this with complete honesty: some of the most dangerous kidney damage I've seen did not come from junk food, alcohol, or cigarettes. It came from foods people believed were protecting them. Lettuce is one of them. And when aging kidneys can no longer handle potassium fluid and bacteria, the way they once did, a habit that feels clean and light can slowly become a medical emergency. I'm not sharing this to scare you, but to stop regret before it starts. Because once kidney function declines, there is no reset button. Dialysis doesn't arrive suddenly. It arrives quietly after years of small, well-intentioned mistakes. Stay with me until the end of this video, because I'm going to show you exactly how to eat lettuce safely, including a simple 30-second method that can dramatically reduce kidney stress, a method most people have never been told, but one that has helped many of my patients protect their kidneys and stay out of the hospital. What you learn in the next few minutes could spare you or someone you love years of silent damage. For many people over 60, taking blood pressure medication becomes part of daily life. One pill in the morning, maybe another at night, and everything feels under control. Blood pressure numbers look better, doctor visits feel reassuring, and life goes on. But what most people are never told is this: some blood pressure medications quietly change how your kidneys handle potassium. And when that invisible change meets a plate of lettuce, things can turn dangerous faster than anyone expects. Here's why. Many commonly prescribed blood pressure drugs, especially potassium-sparing diuretics and certain ACE inhibitors, are designed to hold potassium inside the body. That's not a flaw. In younger adults with strong kidneys, it can be protective. But aging kidneys are different. After 60, kidney filtration naturally declines sometimes by 30 to 40%, even in people who feel completely healthy. That means potassium doesn't leave the body as efficiently as it once did. Now add lettuce. Lettuce is often praised as light and safe, but gram for gram, it can be a significant source of potassium, especially when eaten raw and in large portions. When potassium-retaining medication and potassium-rich foods collide inside an aging body, blood potassium levels can begin to rise slowly, silently, and without pain. I once treated a patient who did everything right, at least on the surface. He never smoked, rarely drank, walked every morning, and followed his doctor's instructions perfectly. After being diagnosed with mild hypertension, he took his medication every day without fail. Wanting to be extra healthy, he replaced snacks and starches with large bowls of raw lettuce, convinced he was protecting his heart. What no one warned him about was the combination. By the time he arrived in the emergency room, his heart rhythm was dangerously unstable. His blood potassium level was well above 6.5 millimoles per liter, a range where the heart's electrical system can simply stop responding. There was no dramatic pain beforehand, no clear warning sign, just sudden collapse. That's how hyperkalemia works. It doesn't shout, it whispers, then strikes. From a physiological standpoint, excess potassium interferes directly with cardiac electrical signaling. Even a small rise can slow conduction. Higher levels can trigger fatal arrhythmias or sudden cardiac arrest. According to clinical data, severe hyperkalemia increases the risk of sudden death by more than 3 times, especially in older adults with reduced kidney function. This is what makes the danger so deceptive. People assume I'm eating vegetables, so I must be safe. But safety isn't just about what you eat, it's about what your body can still handle and what your medications are silently changing behind the scenes. If you are taking blood pressure medication and regularly eating large amounts of raw lettuce, this isn't about panic, it's about awareness. Because once potassium levels climb too high, there is no home remedy, no quick fix, and no second chance in many cases. But knowing this alone is not enough, because there are 2 other lettuce combinations that are even more dangerous, and most people completely overlook them. If the first danger was silent and chemical, this second one is biological and far more underestimated. After learning about potassium and medications, many people feel relieved and think, all right, I'll just be more careful. But that sense of relief can be dangerously misleading, Because there's another way lettuce harms aging kidneys, not through minerals but through bacteria you cannot see, smell, or taste. Lettuce leaves are not smooth. Under a microscope, they're covered with tiny folds, grooves, and hair-like structures. Those natural creases act like hiding places, allowing bacteria to cling tightly even after rinsing under running water. For younger adults, this is often not a major problem. Strong stomach acid and a robust immune system can neutralize many pathogens before they cause harm. But after the age of 60, both defenses weaken. Gastric acid production drops, immune response slows, and the kidneys become one of the most vulnerable targets if bacteria enter the bloodstream. This danger multiplies when lettuce is eaten with raw fish, rare meat, or undercooked seafood. These foods provide protein, the perfect fuel for bacteria, such as Listeria, E. coli, and Salmonella. When bacteria hidden in lettuce meet raw protein, they don't just survive, they thrive. I once cared for an older woman who believed she was doing everything right. She avoided fried foods, bought organic vegetables, and loved fresh fish. One evening, she prepared what she considered a clean meal, thin slices of raw fish wrapped in lettuce, rinsed carefully at home. By the next morning, she had a high fever, chills, confusion, and suddenly stopped producing urine. In the hospital, blood cultures confirmed a severe bloodstream infection. Her kidneys had shut down in response to acute kidney injury triggered by sepsis. From a medical perspective, this isn't rare. Studies show that adults over 65 account for more than 60% of severe Listeria infections, and kidney involvement is common once bacteria spread systemically. When infection reaches the kidneys, filtration drops rapidly, toxins accumulate, and recovery becomes uncertain even with aggressive treatment. What makes this combination especially dangerous is the false sense of safety. People think, I washed the lettuce, I bought fresh fish, this is healthy. But bacteria don't care about intentions. They care about opportunity, and aging physiology gives them exactly that. This is why raw lettuce paired with raw or undercooked animal protein is not just a digestive risk for older adults, it's a direct threat to kidney function and survival. And once sepsis begins, every hour matters. But knowing this still isn't enough, because the next danger doesn't come from bacteria or medicine at all. It comes from a habit many older adults believe is responsible and harmless. If the previous danger came from bacteria hiding in plain sight, this next one is even more unsettling because it grows out of what many older adults consider a virtue: being careful, frugal, and never wasting food. What could possibly be dangerous about a warm bowl of soup made from leftover lettuce? For many seniors, especially those living alone, slightly wilted lettuce doesn't go in the trash. It goes into the pot, boiled, thoroughly seasoned a bit more generously so it tastes good, turned into a comforting soup that's easy to swallow and feels gentle on the stomach. It feels responsible, it feels safe, and that's exactly why it's so dangerous. Here's what happens inside the body. Aging kidneys lose their ability to excrete excess sodium and water efficiently. When salty lettuce soup enters the bloodstream, sodium acts like a sponge, pulling water into the circulation and holding it there. The heart is suddenly forced to pump a much larger volume of fluid, while weakened kidneys struggle to remove it. At first, nothing feels wrong. Then often in the middle of the night, breathing becomes difficult. Lying flat feels suffocating. The chest tightens. A frothy cough appears. This is acute pulmonary edema, a medical emergency doctors often describe as internal drowning. The lungs fill with fluid not because of water intake alone, but because the kidneys can no longer keep up with salt-driven fluid overload. I remember an elderly woman brought into the emergency room just before dawn. She lived modestly and prided herself on never wasting food. Almost every night she ate salty vegetable soup made from leftover greens. That night she woke up gasping for air, unable to speak, pink foam at the corners of her mouth. Her chest X-ray showed lungs completely flooded with fluid. Her kidneys were overwhelmed. Her heart was failing under the pressure. Clinically, this scenario is far more common than people realize. Studies show that excess sodium intake increases the risk of acute heart failure and pulmonary edema by over 40% in older adults with reduced kidney function. And soups are one of the most underestimated sodium sources, especially when taste sensitivity declines with age, and people add more seasoning without noticing. This danger doesn't announce itself with warning signs days in advance. It strikes suddenly, often at night when help is harder to reach. And tragically, many families only learn about this risk while sitting in an intensive care unit. The most painful part is this: the intention was good. No junk food, no alcohol, just a warm bowl of soup meant to be nourishing. But aging kidneys don't judge intentions, they respond to physiology. But knowing this still isn't enough, because the final danger is even more painful, more physical, and more likely to leave lasting damage. If the previous dangers were silent or sudden, this final one is brutally physical. It doesn't creep in quietly. It announces itself with pain so intense that many patients describe it as worse than a heart attack. And the most shocking part is this: it often starts from a meal people believe is perfectly balanced. Lettuce wrapped around dried fish, dried shrimp, salted squid, or small fish eaten whole for calcium. For many older adults, this combination feels traditional, light, and even medicinal. Greens for digestion, dried seafood for protein and bones. But inside aging kidneys, this pairing can turn into something sharp, destructive, and irreversible. Here's the mechanism most people have never been told. Lettuce contains oxalates, natural compounds that on their own usually pass through the body without issue. Dried seafood, especially small fish, eaten with bones, is extremely rich in calcium. When oxalates and calcium meet in a body that produces less urine and drinks less water, which is common after 60, they bind together, tightly forming calcium oxalate crystals. In younger adults, strong urine flow can flush these crystals out before they grow. But aging kidneys don't have that luxury. Urine output is lower, flow is weaker, and crystals are allowed to sit, grow, and harden. Over time, they become stones, not smooth ones, but jagged, razor-edged structures. I once treated a man in his late 60s who came into the hospital terrified. His urine had turned dark red with blood, and soon after he collapsed from pain so severe he couldn't stand. Imaging showed kidney stones shaped like broken glass lodged in his ureter. When we traced his diet, one habit stood out. Nearly every day he ate lettuce wraps with dried fish, believing he was strengthening his bones and staying light on his kidneys. From a clinical standpoint, calcium oxalate stones account for nearly 75% of all kidney stones in older adults are at higher risk due to dehydration, reduced kidney clearance, and high-sodium dried foods that further concentrate urine. Once these stones form, they don't just cause pain, they scar kidney tissue, increase infection risk, and significantly raise the likelihood of chronic kidney disease progression. This is why this combination is the most dangerous of all. It doesn't just threaten kidney function in theory. It cuts into it, leaves physical damage behind, and often forces invasive procedures or surgery. And here is the line that matters most. Many patients don't lose kidney function because they ate junk food. They lose it because they combined healthy foods the wrong way for too long in a body that had quietly changed with age. This is the point where we stop talking about being careful and start talking about survival. Because once kidney stones form and damage accumulates, there is no undo button. And now, after understanding all four dangers, the most important question becomes unavoidable. Is there a way to eat lettuce that protects the kidneys instead of destroying them? That answer and the simple method that can change everything comes next. If you've made it this far, I want you to hear this clearly. Nothing you've learned today is meant to blame you. Most people who damage their kidneys don't do it because they're careless. They do it because they're trying to be healthy with information that was incomplete. And the fact that you're still listening right now tells me something important. You care about your body and you care about your future. The good news is this: it is not too late. The kidneys may be quiet organs, but they are also incredibly resilient when we stop putting unnecessary strain on them. Small changes in how you eat, how you combine foods, and how you respect your body's limits after 60 can preserve kidney function for years, sometimes decades. You don't need extreme diets or expensive supplements. You need understanding, consistency, and the courage to adjust habits that no longer serve you. If this video helped you see your daily meals in a new way, please save it, not just for yourself, but for the day a parent, a partner, or a friend might need it. And if you want to keep receiving clear, honest, and up-to-date medical guidance about kidney health, aging, and disease prevention, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. That simple action helps us reach more people who may be quietly struggling without answers. Remember, this: growing older does not mean surrendering your health. It means caring for your body more wisely than ever before. With the right knowledge, your kidneys can continue to support you quietly, faithfully, as you walk, breathe, and live your life with confidence. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.